sun went down, I'd walk along those railroad tracks and I'd listen for that sound. Kansas City Southern, man, that's a lonesome sound. Well, I sit and watch those trains go by and I wish that I was outward bound. Well, I dreamed about the big cities and the pleasures that I keep. Long about 12:30 through the phases of my sleep, I hear that Kansas City Southern, man, that's a lonesome sound. Well, I sit and watch those trains go by and I wish that I was outward bound. Won't you blow, whistle blow? Won't you blow, whistle blow? In a couple of places, seen a lot of things. When my mind reaches back in time, my memory starts to ring. It's just that Kansas City Southern, man, that's a lonesome sound. But now I just sit and watch those trains go by and I wish that I was homeward bound. Won't you blow, whistle blow? Won't you blow, whistle blow? Won't you blow? Won't you blow?
If you missed my speech on November 17th, tune in to, what is it again?
Duke coaching staff emphasizes a good shot, and that's what Duke's looking for here.
Taylor with a penetration move, flipped it back out to Hardy. Hardy flipped it in there. Taylor tries to take the shot again. Harold Morrison with a rebound. They're going to call, they get Morrison the two. They're going to call a foul.
Harold Morrison throwing his weight around, pushing people all over the place under the basket, comes up with the bucket, puts it down. He's got a chance for a three-point play.
And the foul for St. Mary's is on number 43, Tustinoff. That's his second. And that's St. Mary's 8th.
With 36 seconds to go, we've got the score 102-67. Duke Blue Devils still on top.
Morrison goes to the free throw line, tries to make it 103. Harold's had a good night tonight. Harold's got 13 points. Ball rims out. Rebound by Mike Solomon. Solomon over to Lewis. Lewis flips it back over there in the corner. Over to Plato. Plato back into Tustinoff. Tustinoff, good move inside. They're going to call a walk-in on him.
Dave, Harold started his sophomore year, didn't see as much action last year with the addition of the two new freshman forwards. I'm sure that this 13-point output is close to his career high.
Scott Getch takes the ball, flips it over to Harold Morrison. Morrison driving on Solomon. Morrison up again. They're going to call a foul on Solomon.
Morrison going to the line for 2 shots, looking to increase his output on the night.
18 seconds left to go in the ball game. Crowd's starting to file out a little bit, at least the non-students. All the students are here, Eric. They're not leaving. Harold Morrison at the free throw line, shooting 2. looking for his 14th point of the night. He's got it.
Tune in to Cable 13, Duke University. Is that right?
Well, when you say you're taking a statesman-like attitude, are you taking a statesmanly attitude? That is, are you deciding what's secret or not? Let's get back to that. That is, if you admit that there have to be some secrets, who's to decide what's to remain secret and what's to be open?
David, it's a big problem, and it's bigger than it ever has been. There used to be in this country a consensus, a sort of unspoken consensus, which was based on trust in our elected leaders. The executive was in charge, basically, of deciding what was secret, and we trusted that they would call things secret which should be called secret. And in that era, for example, it was possible for President Kennedy to call an editor of the New York Times and say, listen, I know you know some of our plans to invade Cuba, but it really would hurt national security, and I wish you would kind of leave out some of the worst parts of that. And the Times would, because why would President Kennedy ask if it weren't important, and you accepted that it was important? Similarly with the missile crisis, Washington Post and the Times, I think, had some details of that. They were asked in the national interest. It was very delicate with Khrushchev, and oh, please don't publish what our plans are. And they didn't. And that was kind of among the last times that you can remember when the unspoken understanding that unites this nation with its leaders and the leaders with the press could be invoked. It broke down during Watergate. It broke down as we discovered that officials as high as the President of the United States had no compunction whatsoever about saying, as President Nixon said to Henry Peterson, when he said, hey, do you know that they broke into an office, the trial of Ellsberg was on, and he found out they'd broken into an office of Ellsberg's psychiatrist, and Nixon said, quote, you stay away from that, that's national security. National security was constantly being used for what couldn't be called anything more than an alibi in a cover-up. At that point, these very important terms were strained to a point where they collapsed. The consensus is gone, and it needs to be rebuilt. It's very important that it be rebuilt because what would you do today if a president, Secretary of State called you and said, I know you've got the story, don't print this national security. You've got to believe it to begin with. Secondly, as a day-to-day working matter, in a period of more than 25 years as foreign correspondent, domestic correspondent, in the course of which from time to time material has reached me that derives from classified documents. It's an odd thing that I have to report to you that not once that I can remember in all that time that I really faced the problem of whether I should voluntarily withhold some information because I could recognize the damage it would cause to the privacy of a person or the life of a person or a regiment or a ship at sea or whatever. No such information ever reached me.
Can't you even generalize that to say that as far as you know, the leaks that have been so celebrated over the years haven't really done that much damage?
Well, I think others should do that. Maybe I will be considered to be not the most objective person to make that study. But if you do go over, I think you will find that while people have yelled, I mean, take the Pentagon Papers, for example. Yeah. The Pentagon Papers, the case drawn up by the Attorney General of the United States, never mind that it was John Mitchell, the case drawn up by the Attorney General of the United States rested on the damage that the Pentagon Papers, if published, would do to the conduct of our foreign affairs and to intimate and essential national security. And so they did issue that prior restraining order, and they said, judge has to decide. The judge submitted the Pentagon Papers and read in camera, judge, and the government could not establish a single thing in the Pentagon Papers that was a genuine national security. And if they rest their case on this and get all their experts and can convince a judge in this massive compendium of secret information that anything that was going to be published could establish a national security case, then how can we believe them anymore? I mean, aren't they perhaps looking through too narrow a focus Are they perhaps not looking partly not at national security, but at personal embarrassment?
This way they got to monopolize it, but at least they were elected by somebody, and you weren't. Are you really saying that the decision eventually has to rest on just anyone who happens to have his hands on information?
I don't want to make that absolute a statement. What I do want to say is that I do think there is a process of declassification that goes on. It's not written into law, and it's very informal. Most leaks of information that is supposed to be classified occurs because somebody in government who works with that information has, as a matter of his own conscience, decided that it's improperly classified. That's what I call an informal declassification process. He screens it. I think it is no accident that most of the so-called secrets that leak aren't true secrets. They're just personal secrets or secrets of embarrassment. I suspect that there are thousands of very important real secrets that never leak because most of our government officials are conscientious people.
This could be a first for national TV. Someone is going to buy a balloon, and then someone is going to use the helium on it.
You got it. We want to swallow it.
Okay, we'll take meal tickets. Take any.
I don't really care about exams.
I don't know whether that sounded like reality or not. Ooh, another one. A pass-around balloon.
Follow the yellow brick road.
Very well said. And on that note, we bid a fond farewell to the young maidens of Duke, and the harsh reality comes alive with Tom Marr. Hello, Tom.
Hi, Mark. How's it going?
Things are going quite well. How do you feel about school being over, Tom?
Well, I just couldn't wait. You know, I've been saving it up for a long time. You know, the end has to come to all things.
This is a typical East Kingdom melee. It evolved very quickly into everybody fighting everybody else. There was no attempt at team tactics. Actually, what happened was Caridach over there just lost his sword, so they halt while he picks it up. It's part of the rules that when you're fighting, you always allow a man to recover if he's either lost his weapon or fallen down. And once again, Caridach's lost his weapon. Great. Caridach's a very interesting character. He could fight somebody quite a bit larger than he is. He jumps, he'll just jump up in the air and suddenly come down on top of you with a sword. It's amazing.
Get in here.
King just called for Jacques the Jovial, who was our knight marshal. Looks like Jacques being taken on 2-1? I don't know. Well, so much for Sir Galan.
Let's go, back here.
Ah, yes. Good old lad with his great sword. So much for Degenerum. He's staying in there. And Barak standing off to the side, minding his own business. Wait a minute, what happened to Galan? He got back on his feet, now he's got 2 swords? Hold it, now how did that happen? I don't understand. Here we go again. They just administered the coup de grace to Capris. Capris is getting married, by the way. This is not a bad melee, actually. There's not a lot of people getting killed all of a sudden. Well, there goes Galan, I think. Yes, there goes Galan. There goes Degenerum. Down under the mace of Barak. Jacques the Jovial crawling around on his knees, fighting off Caridach. I don't think he's fighting him off much longer. And Tenek the Anastestor with a griffin on his shield. Having a great time sitting over there. The guys who are down on their knees have lost legs. If he's down on one knee, he's lost one leg. If he's down on both knees, he's lost both legs. If he gets hit in the thigh, or hit in the pelvic girdle, he's usually killed. Ah, yes, that's the way to get the king. Rush 2-on-1. Wait a minute. Barak is fighting with the king. Okay, they're fighting Caridach. Good old 2-weapon. Short sword and mace. Barak's a little out of practice. He needs to get in there. It's difficult to fight against 2 people at once, unless you're experienced. Caridach was experienced. Really a good fight there. The King's party won.
Years ago, I was hitchhiking in South Africa, and I was dropped off in Athlone Township after dusk. This is a story that comes from that incident. Athlone was a scene of heavy rioting in South Africa recently.
Almost into Cape Town, hitching down from the great southwest. I was trapped in Athlone, a town of much distress. Now it ain't a place to be. If your skin is white, and it still is a place to be, when it's just gone a Saturday night. Much to live for. He drinks a lot of booze, maybe even fighting. Can I help him blow his fuse? And I hadn't gone 10 paces before I pulled up gate, as I saw a young man bottle another's hair out of his head. on for hours, and I felt like a luminous green. And the glances I was getting were like a dagger through a screen. And I wish that the shadowed sidewalk would open up to swallow me down. There's a lot of questions to be answered when you're on the other side of town. Well, I tried to take a taxi, but they can't stop for wax. And the phones had all been robbed, and the guts was hanging out. And I heard my heart a-pounding in the alleys in the night. And every time I turned a corner, I thought I felt a knife. Man, I felt so helpless, and I trembled in my shoes. I felt like a sacrifice for the years of bad, bad news. For how can you tell a man you're neutral when he's always been misused? When he's never known nothing from others but a hatred and abuse. In the sea of downtown faces, I've suffered all their scorn. Their anger came from places that most whites have never known. And I staggered on through jungles, sullen hissing snakes, and I cursed the law that breeds amen out for bitter hate. Apartheid. Well, I found the cops up, but they all look like a bone. Where brother turns on a brother just to uphold the law. And a cop looked up and said to me, what you doing here in this zone? I said, man, I seen a mad dog running, and he's gonna come and bite us all. Man, I felt so helpless, and I trembled in my shoes. I felt like a sacrifice for the years of bad, bad news. For how can you tell a man you're neutral when he's always been misused? When he's never known nothing from others but a hatred and abuse.